step with a quinoa vegetable mixture. Quinoa is a grain which is an alternative to rice or couscous that doesn't contain gluten. This dish is going to be healthy and dairy-free, and best of all, it's going to be really tasty. They suggest that you wash the quinoa before, just to get rid of the natural soap-like elements that the quinoa has attached to it. So I have about 2 cups of quinoa. First we're going to make the quinoa, and while we do that we're going to saute the vegetables. Then we're going to hollow out the tomatoes and get them ready for the quinoa mixture. When that's done, we're going to bake it all in the oven. So let's start first things first. Here's the quinoa. I'm going to put it into a pot. And quinoa is, you make quinoa like you make rice. So you put 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. Basically the same way you would make rice. So I put in 2 cups of quinoa, I'm gonna put in 4 cups of water. Love that I had with the quinoa in it with water, and I doubled the amount of water that I had. So I'm just gonna pour that in with the quinoa. Once all the water and quinoa is in the pot, we're gonna put this on the fire and we're gonna wait for it to boil. Once it boils, we're gonna cover it with some tin foil, and once it's covered with the tin foil, just let it simmer for 10 minutes. Again, it's the exact same way that you make rice, and it's really easy to make. I'm gonna put this on the stove and set it to high. Now, watch out for your quinoa. Make sure you know when it's gonna boil, and that way you know when to put the tin foil over it. Now while that's cooking, we're just gonna get the vegetables ready so they could fry up while the quinoa is being made. I like to multitask in the kitchen so everything's ready at the same time and you take the least amount of time possible to make the dish. So I have here another pot, and I chopped up 1 whole white tomato. I chopped up 1 whole white onion. I'm gonna place that in the pot. Then I have 1 box of cut up portobello mushrooms. I'm also going to put that in there. And then some shredded carrots. Now I picked the shredded carrots because they look pretty and they're also really easy. You don't have to cut them. Sometimes cutting and peeling carrots can be a pain. Now I'm just going to put this on the stove, cook it. Now that everything's boiling, I'm going to cut the tomato. I already cut some of the tomatoes, and basically I cut up the top and then I scooped out the inside. So just the very top of the tomato. So you have kind of like a flap open, just the very top of the tomato. So you kind of have like a little, cover to put on your dish. Now I'm gonna show you how I did it with this tomato. I also saved all the juice to put into the quinoa. So I got the tomato and I cut it out with a knife, and then I scoop it out with a spoon. Most of this I'm going to throw out. There is a lot of good tomato juice that I'm going to save and use to put on the quinoa. Now we have a hollowed out tomato. I'm going to put this in the batch with the rest of them. They look pretty already, even with nothing in them. The quinoa's done, and so are the vegetables. We're going to take them out and mix them together. Here you got quinoa, and here you got the vegetables. I'm just going to pour them in together. Make this colorful, delicious looking mixture. I'm gonna mix this around. Also, I got the tomato juice. I'm just gonna pour in here for some extra flavor. Yum, this looks amazing. I'm gonna put some salt and pepper in just to add some more flavor. And now comes my actual favorite part of the dish. Stuffing the tomatoes. Got all your tomatoes, about 6 to 8 tomatoes. I take the tops off to get ready for the quinoa mixture. And I'm gonna just start stuffing them. Just plop them in there to the top. You can even like push it in a little bit so you get as much quinoa as you possibly can. It looks really good. The quinoa and the mushrooms and the carrots, the whole mixture. It looks delicious. And you know, you can also do this stuff other things with quinoa. You could stuff, you can also stuff other things with quinoa. You could stuff peppers, you can stuff zucchini, you could stuff with it whatever you want. I chose tomatoes because I personally love tomatoes and because I wanted that flavor. You're not, you know, using tomato sauce with your quinoa, but you kind of have the real deal in the dish. Yum. This looks delicious. Now that you have the quinoa mixture on, you're just gonna put the tops of the tomato back on so it can cook together. Yum. And I preset the oven to 400 degrees. I'm gonna put the tomatoes with the quinoa in there for about 20 minutes and then until the tomato cooks. This looks delicious. Also, if you want, you can cook the dish with the tomato covers off so the quinoa gets crispy on the top. I'm actually just gonna put them to the side a little bit so the quinoa gets a little bit crispy. You might have a little bit of quinoa left over, and if you do that, you can put it in the fridge and stuff it with something else, or just serve it as a side dish. It's delicious on its own.